Welcome to the Discovery Doc podcast, where we advocate for optimal wellness and reducing everyday toxic loads, no matter where life takes you. I'm Dr. Cece, doctor in nursing practice, self-proclaimed toxin tamer, and a crunchy mama.
I'm Anna Kate, a medical mystery overachiever and your discovery liaison. Join us on this exciting journey as we explore the world of holistic health, cutting-edge research, and practical solutions for a healthier life. Together, we'll navigate through the complexities of wellness, sharing valuable insights and expert advice.
Tune in to the Discovery Doc podcast. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and discover a whole new way of looking at your health.
Welcome back to the Discovery Doc podcast. I'm here with your host,
Dr. Cece, functional medicine nurse practitioner, self-proclaimed toxin tamer, and crunchy mama, and my side chick over here.
I'm Anna Kate, your medical mystery overachiever and discovery liaison. And we also have a very beautiful blonde guest with us today. So if you're seeing another face because you're watching us on YouTube, can you tell us about who this chick is?
Yeah, can I say that I almost called you my side piece?
I'll take it.
I corrected it in my head to side chick and it didn't. It's no better, but whatever. Anyways,
Partner in crime,
all the things. We have Miss Savanna with us, which we are so excited to talk to her today. She is a women's personal trainer and a pre and postnatal specialist. She also inspires and educates and empowers and supports women to just achieve their optimal health by finding sustainable approaches to healthy habits. So we're super excited to have her and be able to sit down and have an awesome conversation. Before we kind of dive into things, Savanna, can you tell us just how you got here? What's your background? What led you to become what you are today?
Yeah, so I'm so stoked to be on, and happy birthday. I feel like I have to say this over the air. It's Dr. Cece's birthday.
I'm official.
Yep. Well, when you're listening to this, it's her birthday.
A month late. Okay, you should have
a month later.
I'm sorry.
Let's see. I've been in this, oh my gosh, literally, like maybe even to the day, I have been in the industry for 10 years because it was September of 2013. So, which is, doesn't that make you just feel old?
Yeah, and it's my birthday. Thank you. I know.
When did we become adults? I didn't sign up for this.
Didn't either.
I mean, I have like moments every freaking day now, where I'm like, man, I am old. I am not a young buck anymore. But yeah, so I've been in this for 10 years, which is wild. And I have come so far. I really wish that my husband and I were together when I first got started, because I feel like he, of all people, could have really seen that evolution, because if I look back at just Instagram posts I did from 2013, 2014, because I was, trying to be an influencer back in the early influencer days, way back when, terrible quality video, all that stuff. But from then till now, or if I think about how I programmed for clients or what it was that was even my mission statement or anything. I mean, it was just so different. So I did start off actually wanting to be a holistic nutritionist. And I was like, well, shoot, everyone's telling me I got to go the dietitian route first to legally practice in Florida. And I was not wanting to do that. I took a nutrition course thinking okay, fine, whatever, I'll suck it up. I took my first nutrition course in college and was like, this just feels wrong. I don't agree with really anything they're saying. And I was quickly realizing how funded it all is. And I was just upset, and I was disagreeing with my professors. I went on a nutrition trip to Italy with them. And that was kind of when I was I was having a lot of conversations with the professors there, and I just couldn't agree. So I was like, I can't do this. If that means I can't legally practice in Florida, fine. So I just kind of gave up. I didn't really go into it anymore. I was like, I guess we got to do something else. And at that same time in my life, I was just becoming the role is called a fitness fledgling.
I'm a juice turned potato.
What?
You know those like long potatoes?
Yeah.
What are those called?
Oh, fledgling.
Like,
But there's another word.
I-
And it sounds like that word. You just whatever. I'm gonna stay on this thing.
not French fries.
No.
A wedge?
Oh, okay. I'm
No,
gonna
the
Google
ones that
this.
come in the can and they're like potato chips and they're crispy.
No, no. Like the ones at fancy restaurants.
Pomfrits?
Oh my God. I'm gonna Google it. Keep talking, please. So you
Baby
potatoes.
cringe.
Fledgling, fitness fledgling.
So
We have
I
details already. It's early.
I'm trying to think what it could be that you're thinking of right now.
You keep talking. I'm Googling.
Okay.
Okay. So I became like a little fitness fledgling at my school's gym. It was a really nice gym, and they have like they start you at the bottom, which is the fledgling position where you're like racking the weights for people. What is it?
Fingerling.
That's a totally different thing.
You guys, it was close.
Fingerling.
That is close. Fingerling and fledgling. You can see how my brain went there.
Wait.
Well, now I'm gonna think of myself as a potato.
A little
Thank
sweet
you for
potato that tastes really good when it's all done up.
Okay, I'm gonna get it together. All right, we were listening. Fitness fledgling.
So fitness potato. So I basically started at the bottom, right? I was like racking people's weight. I was spotting people. I was like taking like newcomers through like a tour of the gym, or even like teaching them how to like use the little machines and stuff, like the true beginners. And that was about it. You didn't have to have like a certification to do that. But quickly, like a month into that, my boss was like, listen, I really think you need to get your personal training certification. Like, we need more trainers at the gym. And I really need a spin instructor to take over because some other instructor's leaving. And I was like, I don't even like take spin classes. What are you talking about? Like, I don't do that. And at this point I had like huge stage fright, like I could not talk. I could not public speak. So I was just trying to understand how I was going to pull this off. And I don't know why she chose me. Like I was so confused, and full circle moment is she's my neighbor now. She lives 4 doors down, and I operate my gym out of my garage. So she's always like, so I get free sessions, right?
She's like, where's my commission?
She's like, I created you. She's obviously joking, but I think it's true. I'm like, I do owe all this to her. So she pushed me out of my comfort zone. I quickly did like one of those like 3-day certifications in person.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're supposed to retain all this information. I did not. I walked away with a piece of paper, and that was it. Okay. And I think I remembered how to do this skin caliper, like fat test where you pinch people's fat. I will never do that. Ew.
Never. No.
I was pretty skinny at that time. And I remember someone pinching my fat because we had to practice on each other. And I was just like, oh my God, like we're not doing that to people. So I did already know right away, like I wasn't going to be degrading people. What'd you say?
We're going to be pinching fat.
Right. I wasn't pinching people's fat. That wasn't going to be my overall like vibe. I knew that, but that's pretty much all I knew. And I was desperate to get clients, right? In the beginning stages, you're just desperate to get clients. So yeah, got my certification, was pushed to start teaching these spin classes. And my first spin class, you guys, it was sad. It was really sad. Like I was basically crying. Like I was holding back tears on the bike because I was so nervous. And my voice was like my voice was so shaky. I couldn't look a single student in the eye. I couldn't. I was just like staring at the wall, like, trying not to throw up. And I could tell everyone was hating it. Everyone was kind of like looking at each other. Everyone was looking like pissed off. And especially because I was filling in for someone really good. So my boss afterwards, she goes, we're going to have to do that again. And I was mortified. And she's like, we're not, you're going to keep doing this, but we got to work on some things. So it took me a while. And then I did finally start getting like clients of my own too, personal training clients. And you guys, my first client, she was my age, a sweet girl, like went to school at the school I went to. I didn't know any better. And I thought, the only way to keep a client is to kill them that first session. They want to be murdered. That's it, right? Like you gotta impress them with how hard you are. So that's what I did with this poor deconditioned girl. Okay. What?
I said, oh no.
No, it was bad. It was bad. So we go through like the whole workout. She's dying, but it's okay. I still have the note somewhere, like my, workout I wrote for her. I decided to finish it with what I called this stairway to hell.
Oh, please don't. No, you did not do this to this poor girl.
It gets way worse. So I'm like crying thinking about it. I'm like sweating. It was a bad moment. So it's so bad. So I say we're gonna do, I think it was like 10 calf raises on every stair step, like, and it was like this long staircase in the gym. Okay, so it's a 2-story gym. We're gonna do
And
10.
you've already murdered her, haven't you, by this point?
Oh yeah, of course. I had already kicked her butt, and I was like, we're gonna do this finisher. So it was like 10 or something calf raises on every single step. There was probably 20 steps, and it's like full range of motion on and off a stair. It's not just like doing it standing up on the ground, so it's extra hard. The poor girl is trembling, shaking. I'm like, keep going. I've never even done this. I've never done that workout. And I was just like, keep going. Okay. She's like, I can't walk. Ha ha ha. And I'm like, ha ha ha. Yeah, good job. See you next week. Okay. 2 days later, or maybe like a day later, I get a text from her saying, hey, I ended up in the hospital from your workout. I have rhabdomyolysis, I think is how you say it.
Yes.
And I had to Google it. I'm like, you have what?
I mean,
I Google
literally
it.
much lactic acid buildup. Yeah, that's
So like her muscles were like, yeah, I mean, it was literally terrible. I basically killed her muscle, her calf muscles. And, it could be really dangerous. She was in the hospital for a few days and she did come out, and then I brought her ice cream and an apology letter and was like, we're good, right? And I don't think she kept training with me, obviously. I can't remember. Maybe we did like one more session because she already paid for it or something. I don't know. But I mean, it was really bad. And my school, it's a public university, and this became an issue. Like I got called into like the superintendent's office, and they were like, like, do you think they're going to sue because her family is well off? And they're like, do you think they're going to take action? I'm like, I'm 19. I just was putting her through a workout, and now you're telling me I am like eligible to get sued for this? And I think the school really would cover my butt with that, because I think it would be on the school. But yeah, it was really bad. All is well. We have improved since then, but that was my first client. I have grown so much. I pretty much at that point was like, oh, we're not supposed to like kill people in the first session, like literally send them to the hospital. So I did learn, but I still didn't like get it. I didn't really get how to program. Honestly, I don't know if it was just, this was honestly kind of a cheap certification. It was AFA, my first one, but they didn't talk about programming. Like, it was such a quick thing. Maybe they just didn't have time. It was a 3-day in-person thing, right? But they didn't teach me how to like write an optimal program. They sure as hell didn't talk about what the pelvic floor is or what your transverse abdominis is. I had no idea. And so I spent like, if I was 19, I probably spent the next mathing 3 to 5 years. Yeah, 3 to 5 years, just like guessing, just really like, oh, this looks good. Yeah, like this is like, I saw this on Instagram, like I really didn't know. And I didn't know how to program for myself. I didn't know how to program for anyone. I did do a bikini competition in 2015. And that was a wake-up call for me that I didn't want to support that kind of stuff because it felt really disordered. Every single girl that I was competing with was like, I'm fat, and they're gaunt. They're a skeleton, and they're like freaking out. They're pinching their own fat. They're, like obsessing over, the carbs and stuff. And I'm not that person, and I never have been. So I was like cheating all the time. I was like eating spoonfuls of peanut butter. And I'm like, my coach will never know. I mean, it showed on stage when I wasn't that lean, but I was just like, it's fine, because I was so malnourished. They had me on 32 grams of fat a day.
Oh, they cut my fat. I told you that I did it in 2012, and because my body wasn't responding, they cut all the fat out of my diet. All of the fat.
Like, do we understand how bad for our brains that is? Like, people don't understand that you need that good fat, not like the fun fat, but the good fat to literally fuel your brain.
Yeah.
I was about to say, talk about baby brain or Swiss cheese brain. Like, right? And I Oh my gosh, you guys just triggered a memory for me. My peak week, right? So like right before stage, when I'm literally everything's slashed, I'm starving. That was exam week.
Oh no.
I will never forget that. And I remember thinking like, this sucks. I like really don't feel like, can cognitively function. No shit. No, can I cuss on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can say that word.
No shoot.
You can say PG words.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. I censor myself all day.
Okay. Just not the F word.
Yeah. Not George Carlin's. So yeah, don't go that way. Not that
Don't
way.
worry.
Reference.
I'll share that with you.
Okay.
I'll share it with you later.
I'm like, I don't get it. Someone needs to tell me.
I'm glad that you know it. I'm glad you don't know that reference. So.
I don't know like any references, honestly. Whenever someone references anything, I'm like, yeah.
I pretend all the time. And the only one to call me out on it is my husband. He's like, you have no idea what I'm talking about, right? And I'm like, no, I don't. He's like, then why did you say yes? I'm like, it's just a reflex at this point.
But you're asking questions. That's what we need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, gosh, now I'm like such a tangent. I was gonna cuss. Oh, got it. Okay, so basically I was like, yeah, no shit. I can't think because there's no fat in my diet. So quickly I did that competition, was like, all right, deuces, like I'm not doing this anymore. This is disordered. So then I decided I'm gonna go into psychology and I'm gonna become a counselor for people with eating disorders because my mom does let me talk about this. So I'm not gonna leave her anonymous. My mom had an eating disorder like my whole life, pretty much, binge eating disorder. So it was really hard to see that. And I didn't really understand. And I remember learning about eating disorders in high school, like during whatever health class, they talked about it. And I don't remember if I brought it up to my mom or if I just told her what we were learning about. And she said, I think I have that. Well, either way, it was brought up when I was in high school. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting and like really sad, but I didn't really get it other than that. So then fast forward to college, one of my best friends, I don't know that she had one, but it's very much seemed like it and everyone was really concerned. So seeing it like so close to me and different eating disorders, I was like, you know what, that's it. That's my life goal. Like I'm going to help people with binge eating disorder. So I kind of pivot to that, right? And it all required way too much school. To be honest with you, I hate school. I hate it. I was a personal trainer at 19. I was like, I'm already doing what I love to do. Like, why do I want to go into all this debt into grad school and like not really have that much time to even do what I love, which is training. And like, I just don't. So I kind of pivoted again. I graduated just with a BA in psychology, like nothing impressive. And I we just kept training. And that's literally what I've done since I was 19. So since then, I kind of pivoted again. I did get a certification with the Institute of Psychology of Eating. It was interesting. It was interesting. I learned how to motivational interview. So through that, but the whole point was to work with people with eating disorders, but obviously not as their counselor, just more like, I don't, it's a little like on a fine line there, like legally. So I didn't really.
Maybe.
What's that?
Almost like a coaching level.
Yeah, it was a coaching level.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of like, I didn't really do anything with it. I didn't feel equipped enough to work with someone with an eating disorder still. And not that that's what they were saying you were doing, but it was definitely like they were trying to help people with bad relationships with food. And I don't know, I didn't feel confident enough at that time. So I ended up working for Noom. Do you know what Noom is?
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Do you know what Noom is?
No. Do I know what it is?
So Noom is that psychological
I do know what
weight loss program.
Yeah.
So interesting. I want to learn more about this. This is interesting.
But it's like it's like online though, right? It's like a website and like all. Yes, okay, I have seen it.
So Noom, all my friends, because I had a bunch of like personal trainer friends, we all worked at the same gym, and a bunch of them started working for Noom. And honestly, it's the most terrible pay I've ever heard of. But like at the time, as a trainer, a young trainer, you're like, oh, that's great pay. Apparently, it's like really easy, and you get benefits, which is awesome as an independent contractor. Like you don't get benefits. So when we were all kind of coming around that age, we're like almost 26, we're about to get off our parents' health insurance. Like we kind of need something steady too, in addition to in-person training. So me and all my friends became Noom coaches, and that was huge on motivational interviewing. So I really refined my craft there with like how to do that, and how to have the client lead like their fitness and health journey, not you lead them and tell them what to do. So I am very thankful for that. But once again, the whole time I am coaching these people, first of all, I'm coaching like 300 clients a day. It's insane. You can't, people would accuse you of being a robot because you literally can't not be a robot. You have to be like, that's great. I hear that, you're doing well with your walking this week. What is a tangible goal for the next week? Like, you can't be personable. And I would, because I just can't not be. And I would be so behind. I was always in trouble for being behind. Because I was like, I can't not like this girl's pouring out her heart to me about like her dad died and now she's binge eating. And like, like I can't just be like, sounds like you had a rough week. Like, I can't do that.
Right.
So it was really, it was eye-opening to me, because even this program that like claims to be really like psychological and healthy, which it is very like, I love the psychology part to it. It's awesome. But a lot of people were finding themselves in a bad relationship with food still, because it's all about, at least at the time, it could be totally different now. So this is just me talking about the past. They had like food, like colors for each food. So green is like, you associate green with good.
So stop
Yellow,
this.
Yeah.
right. Yellow you would associate with
Like moderate, maybe okay.
Yeah, every now and then. It's not
Yeah.
a daily thing. And then
and red.
do not eat, do not go there, do not pass go, do not collect $200.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, that wasn't really the case, because yellow foods would be fats. So avocado was a yellow food.
What?
So the green, it was all about caloric density, right? So the green foods were vegetables and lean meats. And so that's what these people were trained to think, I can only eat green foods. And I would constantly, and I'm sure all the other coaches did too, would constantly be like, no. Like, I know that is how our brains are just wired based on these color systems, but like, no. Like, you need to eat yellow foods too. And even, have a couple red foods from time to time. But no, it triggered a lot of people to be afraid of certain foods again. And as we just discussed, good fats are awesome for your brain. So it was really frustrating to see that. And people were so focused on the weight, because that was a huge part of it, was, I didn't gain any, or didn't lose any weight this week. And it was just, so I think I lasted a year. And that was all during COVID, which was great. Like, I'm so thankful for COVID, because like I got to kind of just like take a step back and be like, what do I want to do? And, it was nice to have like a steady job still, because everything was shut down, including gyms. So I'm thankful for that job. It taught me a lot, and it got me to, it kind of got me to the place I am now, because I was able to back off on in-person clients just a little bit as I prepared to open my in-person studio. So, and that was like right at that was like fall of 2020. So like people were kind of coming out of their, hibernation, and people weren't as afraid. And honestly, everyone was like, get me back in the gym. Like, I'm so sick of home workouts. So it was a perfect time. My husband and I lucked out and were able to buy a home June of 2020. So before things got crazy and expensive, and that's what we needed to start this in-person studio. So our house still, honestly, like, is a wreck. Like, we're just now, like, Alex is doing it this week, scraping popcorn off the ceilings. Like, it's not a cute house. Like, I'm not proud of it. I don't invite people over because I'm like, it's ugly, don't look inside here. But it's because, what'd you say?
Yeah, you'll invite people over when it's all ready and pretty and done.
Invite them over in the mess. They don't care.
That's
if
true.
they're real friends. It does not matter. My house has been under construction since before we got married.
Although I do understand removing the popcorn.
Yeah.
Popcorn
You know
drive.
what? It's true though, because if I go over to someone's house and it's a mess or it's just not cute, I'm never like, the only thing I care about is if all of their blinds are drawn. Like, when I go in a house and it's dark in the day, I'm like, are you okay? Are you a vampire? Like, what are we doing? But so we spent pretty much all of our money and all of our savings on opening this home studio. Okay. So we did that. I launched it end of October 2020, and literally all of the clients I had followed me. And then like I got 15 more new clients because everyone was so stoked for this. So I've been doing that ever since. It's been almost 3 years and it's all women. It didn't start this way, but I've really niched down since then. So I was like training a couple guys, but pretty much all women. And I didn't realize it at the time that I opened the studio, but I was pregnant. And 2 weeks later, after officially opening, I got the positive test. And I was like, uh-oh, like this is a curveball. I wasn't planning on this. And this is obviously a job where, as we kind of were talking about before we start recording this, like it's a job that you have to be there for. And what am I going to do for maternity leave? And I will lose my entire income. I will lose clients. Like, what the heck am I going to do? So it's not that we didn't want kids, but this wasn't exactly the ideal time. So we're like, oh, okay, I guess we're okay. And I'm like, you know what? I told my husband, Alex, I was like, this is great. I've been looking for my like niche. I haven't had a niche. My niche has just been like women. Like that was really it. I didn't really have, I don't know. I didn't have anything I could be like, that's it. That's the trainer I am. That's the direction I want to go. There was nothing I really like loved besides like strength training. And I was like, this isn't differentiating me enough. Like I want to be known as like a certain kind of trainer. And then the second I got pregnant, I'm like, holy cow, well, I already want to know more about how to train for myself when I'm pregnant. Like, why wouldn't I get a certification in this? So like immediately bought a pre-postnatal certification. It was the Fit for Birth one, which the guy's name is James. I don't remember his last name right now, but James something. It was good. It was a good certification. I learned a lot. And then I'm now doing another one because I want to learn like even more about like the anatomy, like just more like in-depth stuff from Dr. Sarah Duvall. So she's like a physical therapist and she's just like genius. So I did that and I quickly like started getting pregnant clients, and I didn't really take on postnatal clients until after I had gone through my postpartum journey, because I didn't know yet. Like I wanted to like test things out on myself and like, put what I learned into practice first before I was like messing with someone with diastasis recti. So I did that, and
flight of stairs.
yeah,
Better than pushing them down a flight of stairs.
That's true.
I'm really glad I told you that story.
Me too.
You're just gonna like randomly whisper it in the microphone, like stairs, and I'm gonna be like triggered back to that memory. It was not a good memory.
But you learned from it and you grew, and that's all that matters. Is it's okay to make mistakes.
We all have learning points.
Yeah,
we do. Absolutely. I look back at when I first started practicing, I look back on some of the stuff and it was never harmful, but I look back and I'm like, like, why? And you just learn and you grow and you adapt. It's part of life.
Really makes me feel better.
The more you know.
The more you know.
So I do also think we've talked about this with some other kind of specialists too, that like you really do have to go through your own something to make you the best at that thing. So like I totally am a believer that like you got pregnant right when you were supposed to put you through the journey of then becoming more of a specialist in pregnancy, postpartum, or prenatal, whatever it is. And you have to go through it in order to really connect to the women who are going through it.
That's exactly right. It's actually funny because my mom, like maybe 2 or 3 years before I ever got pregnant, I remember she texted me one day and she's like, I have a great idea. Why don't you become a pre-postnatal personal trainer? And I was like, Mom, no, like I have no desire to do that. Like that's not my life stage. Like I don't even know anyone that's pregnant. And that was just the truth. So I wasn't there. I wasn't ready. And truly, I don't think I would go to a pre-postnatal trainer that didn't have her own kids. I don't know. I'm sure there's great ones out there that haven't had kids, but it's just you get it. You empathize a lot more too. Like when they're saying, that they're really out of breath or that they're really tired. I'm like, no, I actually get it. I get it.
I told Anna Kate, I was like, okay, I've officially come to the point where I get out of breath talking. So don't worry, just keep going. I'm fine, but forewarning.
Like no uterus, no opinion. So if you're a guy trainer and you're training me on pre and postnatal, I mean, what? You don't know. Like you cannot do my hormones because you are not a female.
Right. Can I interject here with something so random, but this made me think about it? What I had, this is so not needed information, but it's needed at the same time. So I don't know, like 2 years ago, I was pregnant with Jada, and have you guys ever had an ingrown toenail?
Yeah.
Oh,
They're the worst. Like they hurt so bad. And I let it go for like 6 months. Literally, I was like trying to just do it on my own or whatever. And finally, like my big toe was huge. It was red, like hot. And I'm like, okay, I should probably go see somebody. So I went to see a podiatrist, and they put like the numbing stuff in the toe, but it really didn't work. And so then he has to go under the nail bed, all the way under the nail bed on your toe. And my hands were I mean, it was painful. And I have had 2 babies before that, and it was painful. And this dude looks up at me and he goes, it's kind of like preparing for birth, right?
No.
And I was like,
no,
you are extracting a toenail. This is nothing. He was like, I'm giving you good practice for birth. And I was like, what the, like, please don't mansplain
no.
the pain levels between birth and a freaking toenail.
Birth is like breaking 50 bones at once. Like, do
no,
not.
I like that description, Anna. It is like breaking 50 bones at once. I don't know
personal experience. I've just heard.
But I'm like,
so.
Oh, but you haven't had a kid?
Stop it.
You don't have any kids? Okay.
Remember, medical mystery overachiever. So with all of my stuff, I don't know if I can and if I can keep a baby. Like, we're figuring that out, and I'm a little bit old. So
if the little fetus would be safe.
Yeah.
I'm
so
sorry.
we want to do what's best. So if it's not that, it's foster or adoption or whatever God has planned. We will love babies and whatever that leads to. But I think I'm at the place now where I'm okay with God's got another.
Meant to be.
Yeah, God's got another plan. Because I mean, if I stay up too late, my body falls apart. So
it's true.
Babies are a lot. Babies are for young people. So. I mean, if you're already exhausted, adding another baby.
Okay, I have to say that I'm like go through it for the first, like my first, I was 24, turning 25. And then between that and like 28 was a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like, no.
Yeah,
You're
was.
Scaring me.
I mean, just in the newborn phase, because like at 24, 25, you're still like in a space where like sleep doesn't really matter. Like you're just like,
that's when like people are still partying.
Right. I was like, at least I was like still going out partying, like whatever. So then a newborn comes along and you're just like, whatever, I'm used to not having sleep anyway. But then even a couple of years later with having one and then going through that newborn phase again, it's just different. It does get harder for sure. Yeah. Where I look at women who are 43, 45. I mean, I went to a home birth mom maybe like 6 months ago who was 48. And it was a whoopsie daisy. Her youngest was 15. But I look at that, I'm like, it's true. Like, It is true. It would be so much harder, even just a couple years older, to have a newborn than it is when you're younger. But anyways, we digress.
I digest.
Let's talk about all things prenatal then.
Yes.
Since you are here, you have gone through it.
Recently,
yes. Tell me about just caring for yourself during pregnancy from your perspective. When you are helping a client who is pregnant, what are the biggest things that you look at, the biggest things you want to protect, the biggest things you want to prepare for, all that?
I love that question. Okay, so I guess first thing, I need every client, honestly, not even just prenatal clients. The first thing I do in someone's in-person consult is I make sure that they're breathing optimally. And then we go into like, if they are breathing optimally, then we'll move on to, can we engage the pelvic floor? Can we engage the deep core? But if they literally don't even know if they've been breathing suboptimally for a while, then we just work on that. Because people, I notice, get really overwhelmed and in their head about it. They're like, because I've had a lot of people come in and they reverse breathe, where they like breathe up or they inhale. Yeah, I can't even do it, right? Because I breathe correctly. When they inhale, their stomach sucks in, right? And that is no.
It's amazing how everybody thinks that's actually how you're supposed to breathe. And then what I've noticed is, I mean, just through my own journey with pelvic floor and all that, is it's hard for people when you're so used to breathing like that to then do it properly on its own, but then do it properly while you're moving. you know, like while you're doing squats or while you're jump roping or whatever it is, like box, like step ups, anything, you have to literally think about how to breathe and then think about the action that your body's doing.
That is such a good point, and it is really overwhelming for people. And like, even when people do normally properly breathe, but they're in my sessions, they'll constantly be second guessing, when am I supposed to inhale? When am I supposed to exhale? And I'm like, okay, you've been with me for years. Like, it's just people really overthink it. And like, it doesn't have to be this complicated. Like once we make it like a natural part of living, like it's crazy that we have to learn how to breathe. Like it's literally insane to me. I'm sure you have insight on that too. I feel like it probably has a lot to do with the nervous system.
Yeah, well, and it's one of those things of, like, okay, so let's walk our discoverers how to breathe. Lay on the floor, put your hand on your chest and a hand on your belly, and you're focusing on your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is what's moving to make space for your inhale. So your belly has to expand because you're pushing your diaphragm down because you're filling your lungs up with air. And then slowly letting it out, and then your diaphragm pushes back up into your lungs to push the air out, so your belly goes down. So if you're focused on that hand going up and down, and just do that before you get out of bed or when you go to bed at night, just lay down and practice on your breathing, because most of the time we're feeling like I should expand my chest. Well, it's not just your chest that fills up your lungs. It's pushing that diaphragm out to fill up your lungs and vice versa. And it just takes practice, but nobody teaches us how to do that. And that's a great way to practice, is take 20 breaths before you get out of bed. And when you get in bed, just put your hand and
I like that.
Push your hand in and out with your diaphragm, not your lungs. Don't worry about your lungs. Focus on your diaphragm.
You nailed that.
That's a very good description.
I took my nootropics today.
I have her on all the good brain stuff.
I know, like at least she has a good brain for us. I got postpartum brain, you got baby brain.
We're in trouble.
Talking about fingerling potatoes.
We are in.
You know, when Anna Kate's holding it together, something's wrong.
Yes.
Okay, so back to breathing. Breathing, number one staple with any client.
Yeah,
and but continue forward with specifically a prenatal.
So, but definitely prenatal clients really got to get the breathing down, because that's going to help, protect their integrity of their linea alba, the, connective tissue between their six-pack muscles, the rectus abdominis. So we want that connective tissue to be really well supported. And the only way it's going to be well supported throughout pregnancy, because it's going to stretch to make room for the baby. So the only way it's going to be well supported is if we have proper optimal breathing patterns. And same with the pelvic floor, right? The poor pelvic floor gets so used and abused throughout pregnancy. And then if you give birth vaginally, especially, it's
forget about it.
Real used and abused. So, but like this was really eye-opening for me, was I found out I had a prolapse, second degree prolapse or whatever, level two prolapse during this pregnancy. And that was really eye-opening to me, because I do everything. I make sure all my breaths are efficient. I'm like, I'm rolling in and out of bed. Like I'm a perfectionist with it because I know too much. So I was like, I went to my pelvic floor physical therapist and was like, hello, like, what am I doing wrong? I am so like confused right now. And she's like, girl, you're fine. Like, this is honestly just a part of pregnancy sometimes. Like, you could be doing everything right, but it's because of like relaxin coursing through your veins, right? And just the pressure of your pelvic, or the baby pushing down on your pelvic floor. Like, sometimes it's just gonna happen, She's like, but thank God, how to mitigate the effects of that, right? Because it wasn't like terrible. I was still able to do everything that I've ever done. But there was just like this little bit of pressure for a little bit. But basically all that to say, a lot can go wrong in pregnancy, not to do with the baby. I feel like everyone thinks pregnancy safe exercises are like to keep the baby safe. No, like I used to think that too. Like, oh, you can't do crunches anymore because it's going to hurt the baby. No, the baby's fine. We're talking about you. We're actually like, which is amazing that, I guess, here, side tangent, but right, like the whole medical system really loves put focus on like mom and baby in pregnancy, and then they forget about the mom in postpartum. So at least, they are worried about the mom in that like blank statement that they give. No crunches, no push-ups, no, whatever. So it's about the integrity of your linea alba. So we're trying to prevent you from getting diastasis recti, later on, the separation of the abs, or prolapse, or a whole list of things that could go wrong for your body. So I like to start with the breathing for a prenatal client, especially. We go into that. Can we, I make them put their hands around the rib cage. And then can we direct the breath into the ribs? Overflow of the breath can go down into the belly, but we want the ribs to move front, side, and back. And then I always tell them to close their eyes and think like, okay, I want you to visualize your pelvic floor and, visualize like your ribs and your diaphragm. I explain where the diaphragm is like you just did, Anna Kate. And I'm like, okay, so on your inhale, do you feel how your pelvic floor is just kind of like relaxing? Like it's just opening. Like you could like slip a little tampon in there right now. It wouldn't be a big deal. Like it wouldn't hurt because it's just relaxed. It's open. Okay. And then on your exhale, just a natural exhale through your nose. Like we're not doing a forced exhale yet. Just through your nose as you exhale. Do you just feel that little rise of your pelvic floor? Like it just, just naturally lifts a little bit. Nothing crazy. Just, kind of goes up like a jellyfish tentacles. I like to do that visual.
Good. I mean,
so just kind of,
it's literally what I would put with emotion. Yep, totally.
Perfect. So yeah,
Are you
just
really
like
moving your pelvic floor? I am too.
This whole time I'm like, oh yeah, that is like this.
I love that you're getting some like pelvic floor work in. I love it.
Lord knows I need it.
I mean, yes, same. Very much same. So, we start with that. And then, on their exhale as well, as the pelvic floor naturally lifts, right? The ribs kind of go back down, like you were saying, Anna Kate. And we just start there, like super basic. And that is the foundation of people's training. So once they got that down, then we'll go into, okay, so now we're going to do like a forced exhale. Like I like to do like a snake or some people like a ha. They all kind of, engage different parts. So I like to say mess around with it. My personal preference is like a snake. Some people like the shoes, some people like the ha, whatever it is. As you do that forced exhale through your mouth, now we are going to actually lift the pelvic floor up. Like you use your pelvic floor muscles from back to front. So start like you're holding back a fart, then like you're, actually squeezing the vagina and like all the way up to the front. Like, so that whole thing, holding back a fart, holding back pee, and everything in between. So that's on your exhale. And then from there, can we engage the deep core, which to me is like super, super important because no one knows how. And you guys, I need to find like my old Instagram videos of like me working out because it was atrocious. Like I had no idea. And I always thought I have like a nice little natural layer of fat on my lower tummy because a lot of people hold it there and I'm one of those people. But besides that, I was so self-conscious of my stomach and I didn't lose any weight. All I did was learn how to engage my deep core and suddenly my stomach looked amazing. Like it's insane. It was so flat, right? Because I learned how to engage what is like the corset, right? For your organs. Like it's literally hugging everything in nice and tight, even when I'm not engaging it. So then we work on that, engaging your transverse abdominis. And I like to say, it's like your corset muscles because they're running, how do you say that? Laterally? Brain laterally. Is that the word?
Parallel to your hips.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Ooh, thank you. She really did take our nootropics.
I almost said perpendicular for that. I'm like, nope.
No, that's this way.
They run like this for everyone watching a video. And so they're wrapping around everything in the lower tummy. So for that, we really just work on hands on those hip bones and then imagining them coming together, like drawing closer together on an exhale. So all of that, I don't want to overwhelm anyone any more than that, but we go through that very like basic foundation. And then from there, we practice like, can we keep that deep 360-degree breath? I like to call it like a preparation breath because that's what you're going to do to prepare for any single lift or exercise you do is take the deep breath into your ribs and diaphragm, exhale through the mouth, pull pelvic floor up, wrap deep core in. Now hold that brace. So like as you have a like visible baby bump, you will see, baby hugged in, right? So like hugging the baby and you want to hold that brace or that hug the entire time you're squatting, or whatever the exercise is, especially for core work. So that's kind of step 2. Can we hug baby? And it's so much easier once you do have a visible bump, like, oh, see, look, like it's he or she's like being hugged in right now. Like, see how he like disappeared? You see some really cool videos of that, don't you? Online where people like, they're like 39 weeks pregnant. And some of these people have such a strong, deep core. I mean, the baby gets sucked into the abyss.
Yeah, I think like especially is he still there? Not gonna. I think especially like we forget about that when you're pregnant and your belly gets bigger, you kind of just let it hang out and you forget that like, hey, no, engage those core muscles because you still got to work on them, and how important that is to then delivery also. But I feel like so many women just let it like relax their abdominal muscles so much that then
because we've been sucking in our whole lives and suddenly we're praised for having a big belly.
yes.
So, okay, because you grew up in the South in Florida.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is a Southern, I think this is totally a Southern thing that our moms taught us how to stand up with our shoulders back, have good posture, pull that belly button into our spine. And that's just a natural way of being. And so like I'll walk up to my husband and he like lets his abs go and I poke him in the belly and he was like, I know I need to get rid of it. I said, just fix your posture. That'll help you so much. Just fix
Yes.
your posture. And I think it's Southern, I really do think it's a Southern thing because like you didn't know that. Did your mom teach you that when you were growing up of like, this is how we sit with our feet on the floor and we cross our ankles and we hold our core up. And so we have that strength and it just never goes. So I think it's a Southern.
Where in Florida?
I grew up in St. Pete, like around Tampa, and now I'm in Jacksonville, but St. Pete's gorgeous. And that is very much, I mean, Jacks too, we're like we're 5 minutes from the beach, but yeah, it's definitely, my dad, I think taught me how to suck in because we would do yearly beach photos, like just in my bikini on the beach. Like he's so sweet. He does it for Christmas, birthday, Easter, and beach. And it's like, me from 0 to 17. And it's like this cute little photo album. But so every year we take like my bikini photos on the beach and he's like, hey, suck in. And he's not saying it because, it's just what he was taught to do too. And I do remember like always, like when I would suck in, I would flare my rib, my chest, I'd be breathing into my chest, and that is like not what we want to do. So that's another thing just to quickly point out is I don't really use the cue belly button to spine. And I used to always, right? I used to always say belly button to spine. And it's not like some people might take that and do what you need to do. So it's not like that's like a bad cue, but I notice a lot of people end up kind of sucking in, right? I'm doing what I just said, like,
yeah. And it's just fixing your posture, keeping your, like you did in your video a couple of weeks ago, keeping your shoulders over your hips and your hips over your knees and your knees over your feet, all in alignment. So you're not like all kind of Gumby.
Honestly, I made that video though, and I admitted that in my caption. I made that video because my husband, he comes up to me and he goes behind my shoulders because when I have like breastfeeding posture, I don't think it's bad this go around. He hasn't really done it to me this time, so I'm gonna pretend that means I have good posture this time. But he would come up behind me when I was postpartum with Scarlett. He would, pull my shoulders back and be like, stand up straight. And I'm like, what? I didn't even realize I was slouching. He's like, dude, gotta fix that. So I do try hard now. But yeah, so basically moral of the story is we go over all this stuff, really trying hard to be able to work out functionally while still protecting the linea alba. So like protecting the core, for basic terms, and protecting the pelvic floor. And hopefully that means it'll be a pretty like, pain-free, symptom-free pregnancy. Hopefully, I really want to go over kind of what you were just saying, Cece, which is like hopefully your delivery will be a lot better because your deep core is going to be strong, which is what helps push the baby out, right? Those contractions, like our deep core is hugging baby whether or not we want it to during those contractions. And then as we push baby out, we really need that internal strength. So, and I will say, I do feel like because I had such a better understanding of my body this time around, my labor was longer than it was the first time, which was a cruel joke. It was double the time. After everyone goes, oh, the second one slips out, I'm like, oh, good. Okay. And I'm going into labor and I'm texting my doula, I'm having contractions. She's like, okay, you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, let's do it. Like I'm thinking, he's coming any second. No, he didn't. He took a sweet time.
Everyone loves to say that, and it's just not true. My third one was 24-hour labor. Like, don't tell me they go by quicker every time. They don't.
Well, one of a girl I know that she had her third and she made it to the hospital, had the baby in the elevator, and like they picked her and the baby up and got them in. Like she couldn't even get out of the elevator fast enough, and he was here.
I don't know that I want that either, but honestly, as you know, that 24-hour labor, that's special. And I'm just thankful my hospital like didn't make me rush. Like they were totally cool with just letting me ride it out. But my pushing this time around was awesome, and I do really attribute that to, well, my doula. She's way smarter than I am. She has been in the pre-postnatal space for forever. She was a nurse midwife back in like the 70s, and then she transitioned to a doula, and now she owns Fourth Trimester Fitness Method, which is awesome. It's like online little follow along pre-postnatal stuff. So I love her. She's my idol. So she was my doula, and I'm like, if anyone's gonna, help me get this baby out in less push time, less of a push time than with Scarlett, which was 4 hours, 4 hours of push. It was bad. It was really bad. And then she ended up being vacuum assisted because I was about to give up. I'm like, I'm exhausted. I haven't slept in 2 days. I've been pushing for 4 hours, and everyone was telling me purple push. And I'm like, this feels wrong. I didn't know at the time, but I was like, this feels really wrong. And it just was not working. So anyway, she was sucked out with a little kiwi, is what they call it, the cute term, but it's a vacuum. Poor girl. She did see a chiropractor after, thank God. And the chiropractor, when I told her what happened, she was like, oh, like, great. I was like, is she okay? She's like, yeah. But so I was like, I'm not doing that this time. And I really think my deep core is just so much stronger this time around, because now I've been doing deep core work for 3 years, over 3 years, because I kind of did it before I was pre-postnatal certified. But it's strong now, okay? And that baby got pushed out in like 8 minutes or something, and I took breaks. I was like, can I rest in between pushes? They were like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So I gave birth in a deep squat. I don't know if you guys saw that video, but and it went really viral, and my husband was kind of like, oh, I didn't realize your like personal naked video of you pushing a baby out would go viral. And I think he said his dad was like, oh, I didn't know people these days like shared such intimate moments. And I'm like, listen, I was just trying to inspire. But yeah, so I pushed him out in like 8 minutes, and I really think it's because my deep core is strong, and because this is the last thing I'm going to say for prenatal fitness, because I really got serious with labor prep this time around. I was filming, shameless plug that I'll really plug later, but I was filming one of my prenatal like on-demand programs this whole pregnancy, and I was going to do a ton of different labor prep videos for that. So I think I ended up doing like 10 or so just different labor prep videos. And dude, that's key. Relaxing that pelvic floor, especially as someone who just naturally, I think, has a more hypertonic, like, overly tight pelvic floor, probably just from all the exercise I'm always doing and my stress. But it's really so crucial. So that's the third piece to the puzzle for prenatal program. Plus, always focusing on posterior chain more than anterior chain, right? Because we got that. Oh, you hear that? Could you hear that baby? He's waking up down below me. But because, as baby grows, belly gets heavier in the front. We don't need it, and your posture just kind of caves forward anyway. I still do like some chest, and some quads for sure. But like at the end of the day, posterior chain, lats, rhomboids, glutes, hamstrings, multifidus, like all that stuff, that's priority.
Yeah, you have the support. You have to have the support structure in place.
Amen. And we lose that booty, so we gotta. That's the vain part of me. I'm like, I gotta keep a butt as much as I can, because postpartum is gonna come and it's gonna be wrecked.
Whenever I'm pregnant with boys, my butt gets a lot bigger, and my husband is like, so babe, are you gonna keep the butt this time?
It doesn't.
Yeah, not.
I remember this random person that I actually kind of know in person, so it was really weird that they would be like giving me a troll comment on my Instagram. It was really weird, but it was when I posted like before and after from my last postpartum, and my butt got smaller because I lost fat, right? And I was breastfeeding a ton, and they commented a real like, but that booty on the left though, or something like that. And I'm like, okay, ew, I'm sorry. I wish I could keep it. I can't choose where I lose fat, you weirdo.
Oh my gosh. So before we kind of move on to the next stage, what are the biggest mistakes that you see in pregnancy?
Ooh, with prenatal like fitness.
With prenatal fitness, yes.
Okay. I would say being afraid to lift at all, or to do cardio at all, right? Because these are still just like some doctors just unknowingly aren't up to date with the current research from the ACOG, which is that you literally, even if you've never worked out before, it's still more beneficial for you and baby to start a fitness journey, even if you've never done anything before. So
Don't start
obviously
keep moving.
Oh,
Right.
yes, literally don't jump into CrossFit. Honestly, I truly, that's my personal opinion. I don't see the point when you're pregnant. I don't think that that is safe. I don't think it makes sense. It just doesn't. Yeah, that is so much pressure on your linea alba. Sure, there might be someone that's like really, really strong and they're cool, doing it without coning. But I've seen some really impressive, like CrossFit girls that are 9 months pregnant, like, making workout reels. And I don't always see coning on them, like the, outward pressure in the linea alba, but I usually do. There's been a couple where I'm like, oh, she actually just did this, like, what do you call it? Kipping pull up at 9 months pregnant. And I didn't really see, much integrity lost. Still doesn't mean it makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But keep
You
moving.
have something to say.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
The kids are back to school, and this means in addition to homework, they will also bring home those nasty classroom germs. Protecting the health of the entire family is key, and so too is taking a preventative approach. I trust Stellar Biotics for daily immune and gut health support. With 20 years of science behind their metabiotic and probiotic supplements, Stellar Biotics produces all natural, proven, safe, and effective supplements for everyone in your family, children, nursing mothers, and even pets. I trust them for my own family's immune and gut health support, and I hope that you consider them for your family too. Learn more at stellarbiotics.com and use coupon code DrCC10 to get 10% off of your purchase. But no, it's so true, because I did so I played soccer in college, and then I got out of college and I was like, I need to do something competitive. And so I jumped right into CrossFit, and I got pregnant with Ava, and I did CrossFit up until literally the day before I had her, but my body was conditioned for it.
Yeah.
And I personally made modifications. Personally, no one was telling me to do that, but I knew enough from being an athlete that I need to make modifications. And I wasn't doing toe touches, and I wasn't doing kip pull-ups, and I wasn't doing all this stuff. And I didn't care if it would be a 12-minute AMRAP. I would be like, I'm going to take 45 minutes and I'm going to just do 3 rounds. Like that. There's certain things that just don't make sense.
Yep.
In general.
Yep.
I loved my time with it, but looking back, I'm like, oh.
Well, the competitive push is great in a season, but not all seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. You know what? This is a little tangent I can make this one of my points, actually. We're going to make this a point. So with like the mistakes you see in prenatal fitness, one of the things that I noticed with myself was because I was like the girl that it probably has a lot to do with like how anxious and hormonally imbalanced I was before getting pregnant, but I was the girl that had to do HIIT every day for like 60 minutes, which is not HIIT. HIIT is like, it should be like 20 minutes max. I didn't know that. I didn't care. Or maybe I did know it, but I was like, no, like I can't, like that would ruin everything, because I loved feeling like an athlete. So I really did. I was like, okay, every day we're doing some sort of HIIT for an hour, and then we're still going to lift weights, and like it's going to be the kind of weightlifting where you don't rest between sets, and like you're just going. So it's more HIIT, honestly. Like it makes no sense.
For those that are listening, HIIT is high intensity interval training, and it's where you work out, you do an exercise for 30 to 45 seconds, and then you take a 15 to 20 second break, and then you're back at it. So there is a little bit of rest in there, but not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Like the way that I was doing it was just ridiculous, because you really, that's so taxing on the body. My opinion is you really shouldn't do that more than twice a week. And I've seen a lot of clients who have had like, if their goal was to lose fat, I've seen a lot of clients not be able to lose fat because they over exercised. And most of them don't listen to me, and they will keep doing what they're doing, and I can't stop them. But every now and then someone will listen to me, and they'll cut back a lot, and we'll just focus on like actual weightlifting, like with rest periods, like 1 to 2 minutes between sets. And you'll let their nervous system get some time to, chill out before they go into the next set. And just, only do like walks throughout the week. And they usually end up seeing results. It's literally insane. Not always, but it's really been crazy. So for me, I was like really obsessed with like over exercising. And then when I got pregnant, you just don't need, you're not up for that. You're literally not up for that. And I am someone that will listen to my body first and foremost. So I listened to my dang body, and I barely worked out the first trimester. This is first pregnancy, but honestly, second one too. It's hard. That first trimester, you know.
Yeah.
Do you work out in your first trimester? Are you able to keep going?
Even with Ava, I did. With Jada and Jackson, not at all. I mean, the first 12 weeks, not at all. And then with Jackson, I kind of jumped right back into what I was doing and was fine with modifications. With Jada, no, both of them. With this one, I did not work out my first trimester. And then now I walk a lot, but I'm at 2 days a week of just doing like body weight and bands. And I'm doing some weights, but it's more because I wasn't doing it previously. That it's just like super lightweight and whatever, but only twice a week.
Hard enough.
Yeah, but only twice a week. I'm like, because I can maintain that, I can sustain it.
So I think your goal for prenatal fitness should be maintenance. I do have there's someone right now that I'm friends with who texted me when she first got pregnant, because it was maybe a little earlier than she had planned to get pregnant with her third. And she was like, girl, is there a way to gain muscle in pregnancy? Because I didn't get back to where I wanted to be with fitness, and I'm pregnant again. Is there a way to gain muscle? Is that possible? And I was like, yeah, I have seen that happen. I totally think it's possible. And that to me isn't irresponsible. If you feel up for it, that's fine. But at the end of the day, obviously we're not trying to lose weight in pregnancy. I mean, maybe if you were very high risk, morbidly obese, but that's a special case. So I was like, absolutely, prioritize protein and weight lift consistently if you can. And this girl, my friend, I just texted her the other day, and I was like, you amaze me, because I was like you. I lifted probably 2 to 3 times a week and just walked a ton. And first trimester, pretty much nothing. I would try to do deep core and pelvic floor work because I knew how important that was. And that was so low intensity, not a big deal, but yeah, that was about it. And this girl, she's lifting 5 days a week and walking 5 days a week, lifting and then walking, I don't know how many days a week. And she's really working on having enough protein in her diet, taking creatine, all this stuff. Her doctor said that was fine. But she said, I've lost inches, not in my belly, but I've lost inches in my arms, not from fat loss, but from muscle gain. And I'm like, it's amazing. So I do think it's possible. I do think maintenance would be most people's goal, though. That was my goal. Just maintain what I have, I'm not over here trying to, exceed my usual amount of muscle. I just want to be strong, So,
when prepping for labor specifically, I know you touched on it a little bit with breath work and pelvic floor and kind of that deeper core muscles. What would you say, or for a client that you have that is prenatal, that's then going into labor soon, do you have different recommendations for that specific?
For labor prep?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So usually around 35 weeks pregnant is when you're going to really start labor prep. Always, honestly, I'm cueing people their entire pregnancy, and even if they're not pregnant, to make sure their pelvic floor is relaxed. If they're going to do deep core work, right? You take your inhale, under ribs and belly, your exhale, pull pelvic floor up, wrap deep core in, do whatever the exercises you're doing. But then if it's a Kegel or whatever it is, relax the pelvic floor between sets. Let's say you're doing dead bugs, okay? Or whatever, some deep core pelvic floor work. You're doing a set of 10 of those, and then flip over and go into child's pose and inhale and really breathe into the pelvic floor and let it open and relax for 30 seconds to 60 seconds, then go to your next set. That way we're never getting that hypertonic pelvic floor. We're really trying to open it in between sets, or if you're doing Kegels, in between reps. So take the exhale, pull pelvic floor up, hold for a count of 5 or 10, and then inhale, open it up for 10 seconds, and then go again. So really starting that at the beginning of pregnancy is great, but at 35 weeks, we should really start doing dedicated work. Perineal massage is not my favorite thing, but I did do a video on that in my program because I'm like, it can help. I don't love it. I did it maybe 3 times, but it is a thing. So, I don't need to go into the gory depths of that. You can Google it, but, basically you are using your fingers and stretching out that area between the anus and vagina, and it is, not pleasant. So there's that you can do. You can also do just literally dedicated like mobility routines, which is like low, deep squats. I like to still add in thoracic rotation with it. It's like twisting to one side and the other because your thoracic spine gets so tight. That's just a bonus, but I'll do deep squats with that. I'll do that with heels down. And then I'll go into like child's pose. There's so many good ones. Those are just some common ones I think people kind of can visualize. But yeah, I love to do that. And then even just incorporating, like if you're still working out at that point, no pressure if you're not, because I didn't feel like it. I felt like a big roly-poly at 35 weeks and was like, it was in the summer. And in Florida, I think it was hotter than Hades. Like, I don't know what happened this year, but it was awful. So I really wasn't doing too much lifting in that last month. But if I was, I would sneak it in because it's boring. Like, it's really not that fun to do pelvic floor relaxation. So I would like do a set of squats, and then I'd go do, legs up the wall and my feet in a butterfly, and I'd breathe for 2 minutes. Cause at that point you really can't breathe. Your diaphragm is smushed up there. You're so out of breath from that set of squats. You enjoy that like little, 2-minute pelvic floor relaxation, then go back to your set of squats. So I just like to like kind of incorporate it in when I can, because people I don't think are going to do it if it's not like a habit stacked with something else. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And then we've prepped for pregnancy or for birth. We've now had baby. What are your suggestions postpartum in terms of maybe breath work or pelvic floor, and then getting back to their regular routine of working out?
Yeah. So I've heard from different people, and they're all experts. I've heard different like timelines. So, and of course, asking your doctor would be the responsible thing to do. Unfortunately, there are some OBs that just, like I said, just are a little out of touch with the research. And so it scares me to say that, even though I feel like I have to say it, like, because legally you should make sure it's okay with your doctor. But if you have like a 7-year-old OB who hasn't kept up with the research, they're going to be like, don't do anything, until you're cleared. And I'm like, no. So that always makes me sad when I hear that someone was told that. And I just always encourage them to go see a pelvic floor physical therapist, and they will tell you that that's not true. So I personally, and I always tell my clients this too, as soon as you are ready and you're feeling like up for it, start some breath work. It literally just has to be breath work. It does not, like, we don't have to do a Kegel, okay, on like 2 days postpartum. Like, if you did a vaginal delivery, like you don't need to. Yeah, literally, like just like let that heal for a little bit and just work on breath work. So that first week or so, C-section or not, like doesn't matter how you delivered your baby, work on breath work. What we just went over, the diaphragmatic breathing, I would just do that, 10 minutes, a couple times a day, like whenever you're done nursing baby and you're laying down, just do it. And then by week 2 or 3, whenever you're feeling up to it, that's when you start adding in like some walks outside, just nice, slow, low intensity walks, and you're working on engaging the pelvic floor just a little bit, like reawakening it and re-engaging the deep core just a little bit, nothing crazy. And remember, those are still muscles that need to be, rest. They need to rest. So every day is great, but if you're feeling fatigued and tired from it, or even a little sore, like take a couple of days off and then do it again. So there's no rush with it. But eventually, we want to always progress. So after another week or so of dedicated breath work and pulling up pelvic floor and deep core, then we can start to add in the limbs. So just like a dead bug, but modified, things like that, where we're moving other parts of our body while keeping that engagement. And that's really functional because at this point, you're carrying the baby around in the car seat to a chiropractor appointment or, the doctor, and it's very awkward. So you have to be able to have that core brace and, really be able to engage the opposite oblique in order to not like compensate. So I feel like more people complain to me about their like pains, just different everywhere, pain in postpartum, more so than they even do pregnant. I felt the opposite. I hated my pregnancy pains. I was like, my back is killing me. It was the worst. And I always saw a chiropractor and I was just in pain. But I think it's just how heavy the belly was. But yeah, a lot of moms come to me postpartum and they're like, my back hurts, my shoulder hurts, my wrist hurt, my, pelvic floor feels like poo. And I think a lot of it really does come down to just that breath work and proper posture and positioning, right? So that's the other thing, is constantly practicing shoulders over ribs, ribs over pelvis, standing upright. It's awkward. It doesn't feel good. It's not innate at 2 a.m. when you're doing your third feed of the night, but do your best. And last thing I'm going to say for postpartum is really focusing on that proper breathing and engagement when you're in regular life, not just when you're doing your dedicated postpartum work. So when you're rolling out of bed in the morning, this was so hard for me this time around, was trying to remember in the middle of the night feed to not just sit straight up out of bed to get the crying baby, but to roll over onto my side, press up from my top hand, right? Engage the core before I do that. And then it was so awkward to like hold him and then have to like come down that way and, not lose integrity basically in my core. But I did it. And I really feel like that's why I don't have like a big diastasis or anything at, 11 weeks postpartum. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for, this is we're not done with Savanna. So we will have her on our next episode too, but want to save a little bit for our next episode as well. So Savanna, where can everyone connect with you on the socials? How can they find you? Tell us about your program, like all the things. Where can our audience connect with you?
Awesome. Well, my Instagram is Strength with Savanna, and my name does not have an H. So Savanna, Strength with Savanna, and then my TikTok's the same, and then Bump Club Official is my other Instagram handle, which is just like more of what I post on Strength with Savanna. But Bump Club Official is the online like prenatal postnatal programs that I'm doing now. My official like prenatal one, which is Bump Club, has not launched yet. It's very close, but the postnatal one has. So my postpartum heal and restore program is out, and that is just like on-demand follow-along workouts, kind of like a Peloton class, right? But you're going to watch me on a mat and breathing with you. We're going to use just like a little Pilates ball or a pillow, and that's literally all you need. Resistance band if you want for the later workouts, but it's very focused on everything we were just talking about. And the Bump Club would be the exact same follow-along workouts, prenatal, and they're all very, functional and programmed with being safe, not for the baby safe, but right, safe on your pelvic floor and deep core, and just being really, I guess functional is the word I'm going for here. Intentional, right, with what we're working. So a lot of posterior chain work. So yeah, those are my two programs right now, and then I am about to work on a return to running program. So very excited about that.
Amazing.
Beautiful. And we'll have all that linked down below. And if you're following the Discovery Doc on social, there'll be all the things about this episode and all the offers. So we're in cahoots now, girls. We're in cahoots.
Yes. Well, thank you, Savanna. We can't wait to continue this conversation next time you're going to join us, because we have lots more to talk about. But until then,
let's discover together.
Hey, Discoverer, let's discover more. Find episode link in today's show notes. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Discovery Doc. Connect with us on Facebook at The Discovery Doc. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Visit our website, thediscoverydoc.com. This podcast is produced by Soulpreneurs Association and powered by soulsoftware.co, empowering your digital journey with innovative solutions. The content provided in this podcast provides general information and discussions on various topics related to health, wellness, and medical advancements. However, it is essential to understand that the content provided in this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The hosts, guests, and contributors are individuals sharing their personal experiences, opinions, and knowledge in their respective fields. While they strive to provide accurate, up-to-date information, medical knowledge is constantly evolving, and the information presented in this podcast may not always reflect the most current research and medical guidelines. It is crucial to consult with a qualified healthcare professional or medical expert for specific medical concerns. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking medical treatment based on the information presented in this podcast. The Discovery Doc podcast encourages listeners to use their own judgment and discretion while implementing any suggestions, recommendations, or lifestyle changes discussed in this episode. Each individual's medical situation is unique and may work for one, may not be suitable or safe for another. The podcast hosts, guests, and contributors are not liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, or incidental damages or harm that may arise from listening or acting upon the information provided in this podcast. Listeners are responsible for their own health decisions and should exercise caution and seek professional guidance when necessary. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you have read, understood, and agreed to this medical disclaimer. If you have any questions or concerns about this medical disclaimer, please consult a qualified healthcare professional.